So, great to have you here. We know China's investing hugely in AI, in robotics. I did notice that last year, for the first time, a robot dentist was deployed. So I'm just testing your personal commitment here. Would you have your teeth drilled by a robot dentist?
Yes, I think today might be the starting point of a serious robots. And in the past, if you look at the robots giants, ABB, KUKA, Panasonic, and other robot producer, they rely heavily on mechanical precision. The way it's designed is having the products moving to a very precise station, and then the robots come over to make assembly.
Right.
The precise on mechanical is making the robots very expensive. But currently, the AI is the game changer. After AI is deployed, just imagine if the robots can hear, can see, can have a brain to think. Right. There won't be a difference between a smart AI versus a human worker. And it could be even better because they have the human hands is not as stable as a robot arm. They could even doing better job than human being.
Okay. Well, I look forward to my dentist being replaced by a robot with that assurance. We've just been hearing about the ethical questions and the whole relationship, the very rapidly changing relationship between people and robots, AI-enabled robots. But first, for those of you who don't know, for those of us who are not familiar with Xiaoyi and Shenzhen Ventures, just tell me where you fit into this landscape of enlarging the field of robot activity in China. What's your role in this?
I think it is a trend. Just talk about one of our customer in the factory, the Xiaomi. We are a strategic partner with Xiaomi. Now, currently, we are producing 70% of Xiaomi IoT devices and about 40% of Xiaomi cell phone. Xiaomi has a waistband, Mi Band. In the beginning, we have 55 people on the production line to produce the band. After we switched to automation, now we have only 4 people on the line. You can imagine how rapidly the robots is replacing human labor, because one side is the labor cost is gradually increasing, and the other side is that the units, the latest units, is becoming more and more impact, smaller in size, and the smaller the size, the more difficult it is to assemble, because requires precision.
So it's partly about the nature of the work, but it's also, I guess, some people are not familiar with the fact, they think of China as the place of endless cheap labor, and actually the labor market's been pretty tight for 10 years now.
Yes.
And you have this very rapidly aging population, which means not a lot of new people, relatively speaking, coming onto the labor market. Has that been one of the drivers of this move in China towards automation, towards AI and robots in factories, in manufacturing?
There are several dimensions. One dimension is for the economy. What will be the most economic way to produce by human labor versus robotics? Robotics is one-time investment, and gradually you could amortize the cost into per unit cost. The same thing for the human labor is how much the labor is amortized into the unit cost. The other one is the technology itself. So AI is really changing the automation industry, especially for computer vision. Computer vision is like you are installing an eye and a brain into robots. Making the robot is trainable. You can train the robots, but in the past, since robots is depending on mechanical precision, it must be customized for every product. And in that regard, it has to be designed for larger scale products. If we're producing in millions, it deserves investment on automation. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. But if you can combine computer vision with robots, a same robot is able to be more flexible. They can handle multiple products with very minimal change. You see, the robots can see. The computer vision is guiding the robots to for assembly.
So it goes, as it were, from being a machine tool to being an intelligent worker,
yes,
and,
yes.
and with greater capacity.
Exactly.
Right. So I can see that from a business perspective, this is very attractive.
Yes.
But you just described in the Xiaomi ban that you got rid of 46 workers, was
yes.
it? What did they do?
Actually, that's a very big question. My own guess is that in the next 30 years, my guess is that 80% of the work will be replaced by robots. I mean, not only in the factory. In every industry we're talking about, service, agriculture, and other category. That question is actually not only applied to all factory or other factories. It applies actually everyone sitting here. Imagine 30 years later, 80% of the people will be laid off. What they will do? If you make another thinking that in the past half a century, the industry has been migrating, starting from US. After World War II, US is the most powerful industry country, and gradually the industry migrates from Japan to Korea to Taiwan to China, and now after the labor cost in China is gradually picking up. Industry is starting to migrate, moving to Southern Asia and other undeveloped countries. But in the past, the migration is driven by cost, by labor cost. It flows to the area that can provide the most cost-efficient labor. But after the robotics is adopted, that may change. If 80% of the work could be replaced by robots, the migration of industry may go to the other way. Instead of going to developing country, it may go back to developed country.
Because they have the capital to invest in the kind of technology that will remove their labor costs. And that's not true of most developing countries. Their capital is in their cheap labor, right?
Capital is one side. The other side is technology itself. Because for labor is cost. But robotics require technology. And in the era of robotics, what people need is a skilled, educated technician to maintain and design robotics.
Okay, so that raises a number of very big questions, clearly.
Yes.
So there's the question of the labor force, which is made redundant by the arrival of the machines. There's also the question of the rich country, poor country, because, as you say, one of the means that poor countries developed, including China,
yes,
was in low-wage manufacturing. If that no longer happens, are we likely then to see both within societies the gap between rich and poor widening because there are so few jobs for people, but also between rich countries and poor countries? That gap could also widen.
Yes, yes. I think in the next 30, 50 years, we may witness a dramatic change in technology and also our society's structure. Just think loud. If robotics is changing the migration path of industry, and the industry will stay in developed country, go back to US, go back to Europe, and what will be the poorer developing country will do?
Okay.
And the other side is if 80% of the job is replaced by robotics, it may create the same problem in developed country. say US, Europe, and all the routine work we are making now, like restaurant service, the staff in a retail store, if they can all replaced by robotics and AI, what will happen?
If you look at the Chinese economy overall, it's always said that you need to create X million new jobs for people coming onto the labor market, and that's a very important element in stability, in social stability. Here you are proposing to abolish 80% of jobs. In my experience, that causes trouble. What kind of trouble do you anticipate, or do you think trouble can be avoided?
The trouble might be that if you look at the history in 18th century, what happened in UK in the first industrial revolution, workers are destroying, burning machines because machines are taking their job. Who knows? It won't be happen again. But eventually, the evolution of technology will bring a new balance. I don't know what will be, but somehow, if you look at the history, every major penetration on technology will create a severe problem on jobs, economy, and also society. But pretty soon, a new balance is reached. The good side is that if AI and robotics can really come, production efficiency will be improved dramatically as well, which means the machines, robotics, might be able to generate enough wealth and living material for everyone in the world.
Right, but that's a utopian vision, and that depends on those to whom the benefits accrue being prepared to share with those who are on the surface not contributing anything, they're not working. And do you really see us getting to that point of altruism?
I am hoping so, because we're hoping for a better world. But like it or not, the robotics plus AI will be changing the world, the whole world. It might be on the good side. It might be on the bad side. But regardless whether it's good or bad, we have to be prepared for its coming. The better we prepared, the better we can adapt ourselves to it and create a new structure that can bring the evolution of technology to a good side instead of to the bad side.
So I'm guessing you work pretty hard, Chadwick. If you didn't have any work, how would you feel?
Well, I've been treating working as part of my life. If I really lost the work, it might be a meaningless
meaning of life question, right? So that's another big question we're going to have to face if your vision comes true. 80% of the formerly working population is going to have to find new meaning in life.
I think that question may not be my question, my problem. That's the question is more of for our younger generation.
But does the industry in China, of which you're such a central part, the whole IT and robotics industry, do you think about these issues? Do you feel that it's your responsibility to reflect on the impacts of what you're doing?
For that part, as one single company, we are only very tiny section of the history. We can hardly change it, but we have to follow it. The AI and robotics is a trend that everyone cannot avoid. You must follow it, regardless of where they are bringing the society to. You have to follow it, just like a river. So just be part of it. We're hoping it's a move to the good end, but it's very difficult to forecast for now. And thinking loud it may even change the current commonly perceived structure of our society, country-based, nation-based, and also the current structure. Who knows?
Okay. Yeah, and you talked a bit about the movement of jobs across frontiers. In the technology sector, there are almost two parallel tracks. There's the Chinese track, and then there's the American-dominated technology track. Do you see that continuing? There's relations are not great between the US and China, and the technology sector in some ways is on the front line of those suspicions. Do you see that breaking down towards a greater cooperation, or do you see us having two, as it were, two parallel worlds in technology?
I myself is a believer of globalization. I think the current tension between China and the US is only a temporary situation. Eventually, you get back to the track. I mean, if you look at the longer time frame, I myself is saying more synergy rather than competition between US and China. The US has been the driving power for the technology, fundamental research, and China is the place for execution, more of how to produce and assemble. Mm-hmm. The core concept of globalization is just a global separation of work. Just focus on your strengths. I think that will not change in a foreseeable future. But I do believe between US and China, the synergy is much more than the competition.
Right. Just again, very quickly, in terms of whether you see any limitations to the applications of AI and robots. For example, in Beijing, they're building a police station which is entirely manned by AI and robots. Do you see any limitations? What about judges? What about courts? What about other applications in which you might think, the capacity to process information would be useful? Do you see any limitations in the future applications of this technology?
I think in the future, there will be more and more sensor to be deployed. Sensor to you can take let's say a camera, CCTV, and other as a camera. It's only part of the sensor. In the future, with the AI coming, this world will be full of sensor in public area and also on your body. Monitor your body situation. And if the sensor is enough, they will be collecting huge data. And it's only a matter of how to data mining the data. But by mining data, I would say, like it or not, everyone sitting here in the future, I mean, not sitting here, everyone in the future, there will be a very difficult time to keep privacy.
I wish we could continue, but we're out of time. Please thank Chad. It's been great to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.